And we are back on the Chatooine show, the best and brightest Star Wars show in the galaxy, filled with a wretched hive of scum and villainy. We're here every Wednesday nights talking about all things Star Wars, and tonight I'm Star Wars Only, joined with Lunga and Palp Memes. And there's a lot to get into in tonight's show. Before we do, please leave a like on the stream if you want to support the channel. Become a member, leave us a super chat, subscribe, what have you. But this past week, we got a lot of cool Star Wars news. And maybe not all of it so cool. Some of it was predictable and everything like that. But I'm excited for tonight's show because of these topics. So we got things like the new series called Tales of the Empire. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie has its official release date. And the Dawn of the Jedi movie, being directed by James Mangold, has a writer. And yesterday, Star Wars Outlaws gave us a brand new story trailer. So all that and more here on Chatooine tonight. And out of everything, Lunga, start us off. What was the most interesting thing or the thing that got you most excited out of this past week's news? Because there was a lot.
Yeah. I mean, of all the things you mentioned, I mean, there's something to like in all of them. Well, almost all of them. Yeah, we'll get into the Outlaws in a moment. I guess the most thing I'm looking forward to the most out of the list is the Tales of the Empire. That's the one that I think caught me the most. It looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to see more about Morgan Elsbeth. I think Diana Inosanto did a great did a great job portraying Morgan Elsbeth in both Mando when we saw her for that episode, and then what she did in Ahsoka. So I'm actually curious about that, especially the Night Sister connection and all the stuff going on in her background. It seemed a little confusing to me, the trailer. I don't know if I missed something or some context was missing, but it almost seemed like she's like, I'm mad at the Empire for destroying my homeworld, but I'm going to join the Empire to get my revenge. It's like it seemed weird to me. I don't know if I'm missing something with that. But it looks cool. A little Barasafi. I mean, we got some really cool stuff in that. And it looks like it's set up to be a flip side to the whole Tales of the Jedi thing. But it's Tales of the Empire, and it looks pretty cool. So that I think is the most exciting thing. Close second, I guess, would be Willem on a Mangold film, which is weird. You would think that Mando would be ranking higher for me right now, but it's not.
Well, I feel like because we know so much about the Mando movie, kind of what to go in and expecting, it getting a release date that three of us at bare minimum have known about for a couple months because of us keeping up to date with the production and reporting and all that. I don't think it's the biggest deal, but Palp Memes, you have a reputation around here about being doom and gloom. I don't know if you heard. Golden bestowed that title on you. Was there anything you had to doom and gloom about this past week? I mean, did any of these four kind of announcements excite you?
We're discriminating now. I get a different question, right? What
do I hate? We don't.
Well, fine.
Sure.
Well, I found the Outlaws trailer to be dull, bland, uninteresting. And given the game price and it being a Ubisoft game, this will be the first time, all right? I more than likely will not be purchasing this game. I'm sorry, after the original teaser trailer to the gameplay trailer to now story trailer. This is someone who's been saying I've been wanting an open world Star Wars game for years now, right? It's the perfect idea. This, I'm sorry, just ain't it. It just does not look that good. I will gladly wait for the game to release and for proper actual reviews to come out and full gameplay to come out. And maybe a year or so when they finally decide to fix the inevitable game-breaking bugs and glitches. So there's the doom and gloom part. We got that out of the way. On the flip side, the thing that got me most interested was definitely the writer for Mangold's movie. And if I recall correctly, I was the one in the chat saying that out of the three that were announced at Star Wars Celebration in 2023, the Mangold one was the one that had the least chance of happening. And I say that solely, there's a couple of reasons. One is a Dial of Destiny's box office a failure. Not saying it's James Mangold's fault inherently, but I can see there being some issues with that within the studio and within the corporation of Disney, but also because it is a very, very risky movie to make. And I say go bold, go bright, do your best work. I always say that. But with Lucasfilm and their history and stuff, I can definitely see this one having the chance of being canceled. That said, the writer for One Way Out and other Andor episodes has me absolutely excited if this does come to fruition, and I pray to God it does, because this has the most potential out of all the movies, out of the future slate of Star Wars. This could genuinely bring the franchise to just fresh air, and I think we've been needing that for quite a long time. So easily the Mongol news.
I'm in the same boat, actually. I actually think the Dawn of the Jedi getting the rider from the prison arc in Andor is great news. It's kind of like there's one series or show or something. I think it actually was Andor, funny enough, where you look at it for Star Wars and you're like, oh, this is the series that's made by professionals, and you can see the difference in the quality. And so that's kind of how I feel about the Mongol film at the moment. But we will get more into the Mongol film and the Dawn of the Jedi rider and everything like that later on. But first, I do want to start off with the biggest news of the week, and that is the Tales of the Empire. We got a brand new trailer from Lucasfilm, and it kind of just came out of left field. We were all expecting a Tales of the Jedi Season 2 trailer, but we got Tales of the Empire. It's a 6-part animated anthology, same style as the Clone Wars and Tales of the Jedi and not Clone Wars. What's the other series? Oh, Bad Batch. Yeah, that's the other. It's our favorite
The one
series
that's
in the
going
whole.
on right now that we just talked about last week. Yeah, the one that everyone forgot about. That's okay.
Yeah, funny enough, I was watching the most recent episode right before the show started, and I kind of forgot what it's already about. But the description for this is on the Star Wars website. It says, "Journey into the fearsome galactic empire through the eyes of two warriors on divergent path: Night Sister Morgan Elsbeth and former Jedi Barriss Offee. Like the first season following Ahsoka Tano and Count Dooku, Tales of the Empire focuses on previously untold events in the lives of the featured characters." And I want to stop there. This is technically Tales of the Jedi Season 2, right? I mean, they just said that. Like the first season, following Ahsoka and Count Dooku, Tales of the Empire focuses on previously untold events. I feel like that's a kind of a curveball for me. I really didn't expect us to get a divergent path of going from Tales of the Jedi to Tales of the Empire. Am I the only one who feels that way?
I mean, yeah, you can kind of say it's a second season because it's part of the same series. I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
I guess it'd be under the same category, right?
Tales,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tales series. But it seems kind of weird having Tales of the Jedi. And you had one season, Tales of the Jedi, second season, then third season, it's Tales of the Empire. So, I mean, I think it's just a naming thing that causes a brainworm. It's like, but is it? Or isn't? Yeah, so I guess it's along the same category, like Papa Moon said. But that doesn't really, I mean, of all the things I could get annoyed by, why would I let that bother me? It just doesn't seem like that much of an issue to care. It's
Well,
like,
me, I just want to see more Tales of the Jedi because I was annoyed with season 1, and this is a personal gripe of mine. Like, I didn't find the Count Dooku arc all that great. It just was like, oh, it's fake stuff about Count Dooku, and then the Ahsoka thing is, of course, more Ahsoka content. So I was hoping like season 2.
You mean you didn't love seeing her birth, which I'm pretty sure a lot of us Star Wars fans have joked about, given she's been in like every piece of media for the past decade.
I saw that episode at Star Wars Celebration. I'll have you know, in Anaheim when they announced the series. I saw that
You
that
saw
entire episode.
Ahsoka's birth in like 8K, you know, the biggest
With
projector.
Dave
Wow.
Filoni. Dave Filoni was in the front row, just going like he was
Do
crying.
you think that was like a secret cult kind of? What would you call
Yeah,
that?
because I remember the chants. I remember the chants.
Yeah, some chant,
would
yeah, yeah.
He'd be like, "You
They're casting a
remember?" And the
spell.
crowd would go, "I remember," and he'd go, "You remember?" And I go, "I remember." It was beautiful. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of season 1, but I was hoping that season 2 of Tales of the Jedi would give us like High Republic Jedi or more Jedi set during the prequel trilogy era, or maybe even during Luke's Jedi Order. Just
Well, we were
anything kind of-
speculating Balin to have a
Actually,
storyline. Yeah.
I wasn't even going to say that's a speculation. I'm 90% confident the guy who told me that he's going to be in this show is still accurate.
yeah, we
So
don't have all the information about. I mean, all we really saw is Morgan Elsbeth
I
and
would say
Barriss Offee.
because the way I was told about Balin being in Tales of the Jedi season 2, and this was like a year ago, so you know, I guess you could say take with a grain of salt, but I was told that Balin would be in season 2, and you would kind of see him closer to that Revenge of the Sith timeline of being a Jedi, so you could see him as an adult. And with this announcement, I was like, oh, that's not true at all. Tales of the Empire wouldn't even touch me. But now that we see Morgan Elsbeth, I'm kind of more confident than ever now we're actually going to see Balin. Because I'm not the only one. Like, I even messaged Jason Ward making Star Wars, and I was like, hey, bro, like I heard this. Do you think this is true or anything like that? And he said something along the lines of like, yeah, I've heard that Balin, was going to be, but I'm not. He's not confident either. It's like the telephone game. So I think Balin will be in it, but that's just because I've heard it, and now we're going towards Morgan Elsbeth's story. I feel like that sinks a little bit more. Seeing them meet for the first time. How did this alliance start? I would like to see Balin in this, especially as a Jedi. But, anyways, the two main characters in this though are Barriss Offee and Morgan Elsbeth, and
Yeah.
I think the Barriss one is very surprising because for years now, fans have been wondering what's going to happen to Barriss. We thought she would be in the Ahsoka series. We thought she was this Inquisitor or that Inquisitor, and now we know that she is an official Inquisitor. Palpatine, does that break anything in the Inquisitor canon, the Inquisitorius? Because I thought we had all the brothers and the sisters.
I was pretty sure we had them all already said, and that's why people were speculating in Ahsoka that final Inquisitor, if I recall correctly, would have been Barriss had that they go that route. I'm not the Rebels expert, which is where the Inquisitors really were, I guess, formed. But I mean, does it break anything? I don't know. I thought we had all the Inquisitors sort of established. Did we not?
I don't know nothing.
No. There's a bunch of Inquisitors. We don't know who they are. There's a whole slew of Inquisitors.
Like 7 of them, 7 or 8.
No, there's 13 on each side. I think there's 13 brothers and 13 sisters.
Well, for all we know. Yeah. Okay. No, I do remember us talking about that during Ahsoka. Actually, yeah. For all we know, too, whether this is the case or not, Barriss could die and she gets replaced by another one. If that's how that works.
I hope she does. I'm tired of these characters living beyond the means of necessity.
No, she'll die.
There's a bunch of people speculating
she'll come back.
that she was Merrick.
That's what it was. Yeah. The guy turned into gas.
Yeah, in Ahsoka.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember when everyone thought he was a Star Killer?
I will say, I remember Star Killer. I like Star Killer. I like Sam Witwer. I will say, Tales of the Sith. I didn't watch Tales of the Jedi. Didn't intrigue me, and I didn't hear very great things about it. So I'm like, I'll give it a pass. I think we're going to be talking about it at some point on the show, especially with this new season coming out. So I'm sure I'll have to watch it then. But Tales of the Sith, on the positives,
Tales of the Empire.
Tales of the Empire, my bad. Well,
Scroll back.
I'm getting ahead of myself. I like the tone of it. I will say that. I'm not that interested, be honest. I'm not that interested. Morgan Elsbeth's story is definitely on the lower end of interest. I'm more curious about Barriss. I think there is potential there. Now, whether or not that potential will be reached or not, I mean, time will tell. I'll definitely be watching it. But it's with Tales of the Sith, like Star Wars Only, you said this kind of threw a curveball at us. I was expecting them to at some point do a Tales of the Sith, and I would love to do a Tales of the Sith around Darth Plagueis, Darth Bane. You could do a lot of stuff with that.
I think that's
I was gonna say I think a Tales of the Sith of Tenebrous and Plagueis. Granted, they don't make a live action show because they're stupid. They could do it in animation. I think they can do it really, really well. Especially if they just follow that book, but. I'm not really for or against this. I think Lunga is definitely the most excited out of the three of us for this. I will be watching it, but I'm simply, I've said for a long time now, I'm pretty tired of these eras. I'm pretty tired. It's just kind of.
Do you want my theory?
What's your theory? Let's hear the theory.
What's your Star Wars
on the reason why they're not under? We're gonna go there, really? On the reason why it's not Tales of the Sith. I think Lucasfilm. Especially with the changes, if you will, with Dave Filoni now taking over and being the head of creative and everything like that, and what we, the is it canon, isn't it canon conversation that always seems to happen. I think they don't know exactly what they want to do with the old canon Sith Lords and how far back they go, and I think they don't want to make a Tales of the Sith yet, because I don't think there's it's kind of weird, right? Because since Bane, it's a rule of 2, right? So there's only 2 at any given time. So it's not like there's that many when you think about it, but it's still 1,000 years, and that's a lot of pairs. Yeah. And it could be a multiple end apprentices if they get rid of one apprentice and get another. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think they don't want to back themselves into a corner with another canon issue of making this, and then when they have an idea of a writer that comes up with something, James Mangold, for example, I think they want to wait until there's some other stuff they do before they back themselves into a corner with stuff done here. Because then if they do, they're going to create another canon issue. Oh, well, now we want to do this. Well, we can't because now we just established this in Tales of the Empire.
I agree 50%. I think part of the issue as well is kind of like you're saying, where they don't want to entirely commit to something. I think Lucasfilm has had this tendency of being very vague because of, like you were saying, the canon aspect of things. Like, they can screw things up pretty easily. But I will go on this limb and say I think they're waiting until the Acolyte releases before they want to do a Tales of the Sith, because I do think we're going to clearly touch on the Sith a little bit in the Acolyte. But I think if there is a positive reaction to the Sith in that series, if it's one or two, they might do a Tales of the Sith based on those Sith lords. Because honestly, Lucasfilm has not introduced new Sith into the Star Wars canon that they have. Yeah, you got like Darth Momin, I think, from the Darth Vader comics and everything like that. But stuff like that is so small and minute, and
if you want to count, the visual dictionaries of the sequels, they would need Legions After Revan and shit like that and stuff. So
yeah, and stuff like that confuses me too, because I'm like, well, technically, I guess they put Revan and Tenebrous in it, but it was like, okay, but Tenebrous is Plagueis' master, and Plagueis happens before the Phantom Menace, and he's Sidious, and now you got the High Republic and the Acolyte, and there's this new shit, and that's the problem with this stuff, is like you constantly have to like really read between the lines, and we're nerds. So people in Star Wars obsess about these things. But anywho, it's going to be a minute before we get to the Tales of the Sith thing. But onto Tales of the Empire, I'm in the middle of both of you. I don't think I'm as against it as Palpamemes is, honestly.
Well, I never said I was against it. I said I'm not against it or for it. I'm pretty neutral on it.
But I'm going to give you all these reasons on why I'm against it, but I'm not officially saying I'm against it.
That's not true. Hold on a second. That's not true. I didn't do that at all. I gave many positives, and I said, well, on the flip side, I'm simply tired of this era. These characters don't interest me. I'm not saying there's no story to be told, but I'm ready to move on. It's like we make this whole Mando thing. Now we're going backwards, and this Barra story from was it like 10 years ago from these removed
Palpamemes needs to run for political office. He has learned the art of rhetoric I'm saying this, but I'm not saying this.
He can pull out the whole alternative facts.
No, because it's not even that. You guys only deliberately said I'm against it. I never said that. I never insinuated that. I had some positives.
You were on the opposite end of Lunga. I thought you were like.
No, I said Lunga is probably the most excited out of us three.
Yes. And so
and I'm probably the least excited. Doesn't mean I'm against it. I have my preferences for what they should be doing, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily against it. I'm simply neutral on it.
And I'm actually kind of excited about it myself, because I'm on the opposite of you when it comes to Morgan Elsbeth. For Barriss, I just want Barriss to die. Like, wrap that story up and kill her. If she survives past this point, I'm really going to, I hate Dave Filoni. If he does that, I'm going to be like, bro, I hate you. Like, do something. But Morgan Elsbeth, I find that story arc very interesting, because was she a good character in Mando season 2? Yes. The fact that she knew where Thrawn was and served Thrawn and everything was very cool at the time. Got that explored a little bit more in the Ahsoka series. She gives her life for Thrawn and that cause and everything. She's part of the Night Sisters. And now we get to see not like her origin story, so to speak, but how she came into the services of Thrawn and everything. And I find that to be a very interesting prelude to what she does in Mando and everything after the fall of the Empire. So I'm actually excited to see her story arc play out in this. And I think the Barriss Offee one was a good choice too, because I want to see her story come to an end as well. I mean, it's been years since we've seen this chick. We have speculated for years. People thought she rescued Grogu and everything. Like we really want to see what happens. And then another thing too is that you have the Grand Inquisitor in here, and we know that he was at her trial, one of the temple guards that was there when she was on trial for crimes against the Republic and everything, that communist woman. And, she got locked up. So it's kind of crazy that he's going to be the one that's training her and everything now, when he was there when she fell, And speaking of fallen, it looks like Palpatine's has fallen and he can't get up. Rest in peace.
He's there. He just shut his cam off for a second. He's still with us.
Okay. I was supposed to say
he'll be back.
Like us.
He'll be back.
And he can't get up.
Not sure.
yeah, no, I'm excited about Tales of the Empire. Honestly, I think it's an interesting concept, and I do wonder if they're going to keep going with this Tales thing. Like, are we going to get Tales of the what was this girl's name?
That's from last week.
I know, but maybe
Yeah.
we can get a Tales
It's
of
it's the X
Jedi
it's
about her.
X-23. It's X-23 Jedi.
X-23. Thank you.
I'm excited about her. I
forgot.
liked her in Logan a lot. So
You remember
hopefully she
Logan?
doesn't- Hopefully
So
she
did I.
doesn't. I remember her in Logan, and I hope she doesn't die in the first.
Is that how
she's
far I
going
wore
to.
the right shirt today? Apparently, is that where we're going now? Only
You remember the
if someone
actress?
is
I
any
remember the
other
actress.
Yeah, it's like, oh, remember this movie? Remember it has nothing to do with Star Wars. So now they're member berries in Star Wars for you, right?
Just-
Okay.
Everything is member berry. The second Leslie Headland is like, we really went off the Akira Kurosawa inspiration of the Hidden Forest.
Here, you want me to give you a
Oh,
better
I
one?
I remember.
Remember
Hidden Forest.
Dune? Remember Dune?
I like Dune. I remember.
I actually don't
Dune.
remember Dune. I'm not into.
Remember
sci-fi
Kingdom? Oh, what's the name? What's the name of the samurai movie that George was inspired of? Kingdom, something Kingdom.
I thought it was just Hidden
That-
Fortress.
There we go. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember Hidden Fortress.
remember Hidden Fortress? Yeah. Well, that's
remember
literally
that.
all Star Wars is. Frank Herbert. They asked when Star Wars came out, they asked him, "Are you going to sue?" And he's like, pretty much just implied no, but you could tell it's a cheap knockoff. That's what Frank Herbert said when Star Wars came out. So it was
Well,
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, Star Wars is better than Dune. I mean, you got Timothy Chalamet in one, you got Harrison Ford in the other.
Have you seen the new Dune movie?
I have. Yeah.
No, I don't care about. I mean, I've seen a certain shots.
Star
from
Wars
it,
is better than Dune.
and-
Have you seen Dune? No, but I don't care to.
Well,
Therefore,
yeah,
Star Wars
because
is better.
I can
Get
almost
outta here.
I can almost guarantee. I don't even need to go see Dune. I've never heard up until the past 3 years anyone mention the words Dune to me. All right,
You
I'm
have
joking,
fun with
that's
your
a
little
lie, but-
Mandalorian and Grogu and fucking Cal Kestis and Mara fucking Jade and Ahsoka movie where they all come together and whatever.
He sounds
Yeah.
like nerds like that weren't into fantasy before Lord of the Rings came out. I've never heard anyone say Lord of the Rings to me in the last couple of years until the movie came out.
Did you read the
That book written in
Silmarillion?
the 20th. That book was
Similarity.
Do
written
you
in the
know about the
30s,
children
man.
of Huron? All right, when Eru Iluvatar sang the
Lord of the
song,
Rings
yeah.
fans, they're up there when it comes to annoyances, but I think Star Wars fans take the cake.
We do, but we also don't have a horrible series on Amazon that is an abomination to the franchise.
Yeah, but we have like 15 horrible series on Disney Plus, but that's okay. I'll let
And
you
like,
have that
and almost
one. And
like,
like maybe 2 good ones. One good, yeah, maybe 2 good ones.
we got like 8 bad movies and 3. Like, honest to God.
Yeah,
But
hey, but that
anywho-
Rings of Power, man, that was a mess.
Oh yeah. I love the flipper switcheroo of he's Sauron. No, he's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Topic.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we're going off on tangents again.
Let's get off the tales of the Lords of the Rings Dune Part 2 topic. Let's get on to what I know Palpamemes loves. Mandalorian and Grogu. Disney gave us an official release date. Say it with me, Palpamemes. May 22nd, 2026.
Like 2 weeks after an Avengers movie. Do you all remember 2018 of May? Do you all
I hate
remember
to
what came
remember
out?
2018.
You
Well, hold
remember
on.
what
Hold on.
happened?
Hold on.
Yeah, which
Hold on.
Avengers movie is this?
Hold on.
Yeah, $1 billion box office, my ass.
Hold on. First of all, Marvel doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They're supposed to be doing Kang, and now with the whole Jonathan Majors thing, it's not Kang. And
Oh, but Star Wars,
this is
you know,
not. No. But
we'll
this
be
is
ahead
not.
of 'em.
This is not the same. The hype for Marvel is not the same now as it was then. It's not on the same. I mean, could it be?
I agree.
Yeah,
So
but
is
it's
Star
not
Wars.
the same
Both
thing.
have deteriorated pretty significantly.
Yeah, but
well,
it's
hang on,
not
hang on.
the same
The
situation where people are
Avengers
like,
one-
"Oh, I only can see. I'm going to choose Marvel over Star Wars for why? Right now, why? There's more excitement. You could say they've both gone down, but Amandu Grogu is more exciting than a very disappointed fan base with Marvel right now.
Well,
The-
not only that,
the-
the Avengers movie you're talking about, Palpamemes, is Avengers: The Kang Dynasty.
That's
I don't
probably
Which is
they
not
changed
that
it,
anymore. They
isn't it?
changed the name.
Yeah, I
They
was gonna
changed the
say,
name.
they
They
changed
already
it,
did.
yeah.
Even then, I doubt they even keep that release date with the turmoil that they're having story wise. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised. But I will admit, you're partly right about like the release dates and everything. Looking at the calendar that you sent in our Discord, There's Avengers Kong Dynasty May 1st, and then we have the Mandalorian and Grogu on the 22nd of May 2026, and then on the 19th of July, oh no, my bad, June, we get Toy Story 5. But honestly, I don't even think Toy Story 5 is going to be that big of a detriment to the Mandalorian and Grogu. It'll take
it's very,
friends,
very different.
yeah, it's
Audiences,
a different audience, and it's Toy Story 5. It's not like it's Toy Story 3 where we were like, oh, it's the end.
It's not like the fourth one was complete ass either. But hey,
that was horrible. Yes. So, but still, with this release date, I don't think any of us are all that shocked because keeping up with a lot of the inciting reports from Star Wars reporters and everything, and
it wasn't even that. It was
outlets.
This was said in the last fiscal earnings call, was it not? I remember talking about it.
No, it wasn't like official.
Was it not the precise date? I could have sworn it was.
No, it wasn't the precise. They were just saying it's still gonna be.
It was. They just
first.
had Star Wars movies listed. They just didn't say which one. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they said, hey, and they've always said the Mandalorian and Grogu was gonna be the first film to release out of their upcoming movie slates.
Right.
But we didn't know if they were still gonna keep that May 2026 release window. And there's been some, I don't know what this is. And Longa, as someone who's been around longer than I have, you may be able to explain this to me. What is up with the recent? No, but I mean, I remember growing up, Star Wars movies were released.
You remember?
In May,
I remember.
And I love to remember May. I'm also born in May too. But I remember them releasing in May and it being a summer blockbuster thing. Now it seems like people are upset with this idea of the Mandalorian and Grogu releasing in May, not because of the box office competition, not because of, maybe it just works better, but simply because they want it to be in December. They're like, Star Wars is a December movie franchise. That has only happened in the past 10 years.
Disney. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like I like the May release.
Wait, hold on. Wait, this is a point of contention with people? I have not seen that.
Yes.
It's literally a point of
seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
People have been coming out and saying, like, why is this releasing in May? Star Wars is a December franchise. This makes no
here's
sense.
the thing, Star Wars only.
I haven't seen that at all.
They released Solo in May. They released The Last Jedi in December, which was the December beforehand, but still. I think a lot of people, like, whether like on purpose or cognitively, whatever, they do separate like the George Lucas era of Star Wars with the Disney era of Star Wars. And so they know this Disney era of Star Wars with December releases, but this isn't the first time we did it. We did this with Solo, a Star Wars story. Now I will say and it's probably nostalgia. I mean, I'm sure we're all nostalgic for The Force Awakens. I remember distinctively seeing it in theaters on December. What was it? December like 22nd or something like that. Or like the day it came out. And it was all family time, family holidays. And I think it's partially nostalgia.
Well, here's for May, not for December, though. I mean, December's fine too, but I just don't understand the notion of May being like a bad time to release a Star Wars movie.
I think it's PTSD. I think it's more PTSD than nostalgia for the Christmas release, because, yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If you go by again, nothing's for sure, right? Except this, because they gave us a date, right? The slate still shows supposedly a December movie of that same year.
Exactly.
And that's presumed to be the May Star Wars movie.
December
and December, right, of 26, right? And then May of 27. So they're still having a December movie. And maybe they're saving, if that's such a big deal to people, which again is just fucking weird to me. But if that's such a big deal to people, well, your main storyline stuff, right? Which would be the Rey movie, because that's a continuation of let's not use the Skywalker storyline. It's the main storyline, because they told us this is not the Skywalker. It's over. It ended. This is new. But your main
3 years later,
it's not really episode 10.
Right, your main trunk, okay, if you will, of storylines, is in December, if that's a Rey movie that comes out. So they're probably still doing that, and maybe they're going to save this new Mandoverse for summer releases. So they might alternate like that, We'll have like these Mandoverse kind of stuff, and
when we had that announcement that we were going to get a David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, Game of Thrones creators, they were going to get their own trilogy, and then Rian Johnson was getting his own trilogy. This is around 2017, 2018, around this time these conversations were being had. The idea was we'd be getting 2 Star Wars films every year for a little bit. We thought we were going to get one in May, one in December, one in May, one in December for a little bit.
Star Wars only. Don't forget, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, The Last Jedi was originally planned to be released in May of
All of them,
2017,
all the
right?
sequels,
All of them. Oh,
every
there you
single,
go.
And
Yeah.
it literally
Goldman pushes
became
back on that he's wrong.
it literally became delayed, right? Because of they're having reshoots or changes in scripts and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Ryan
the-
needed
the-
more time with the scripts.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
Episode
Ryan
9
needed
was
more time because he thought he was surprised with the love for the original characters. Oh, no, for the new characters like Rey, Finn, and Poe. So he rewrote a little bit for them, and then of course, Rise of Skywalker was delayed because of Colin Trevorrow leaving. Force Awakens was delayed because of Michael Arden leaving. So it's they all were meant for May. December just happened to become the new time for them to do it. But still, like even Rogue One, I think was delayed because of reshoots. Was it not? I think that was. I think that was also supposed to
they
be May.
reshot like half the
Yeah,
film.
like
Yeah.
that was supposed to be in May of 20 when did that come out? 2016. It was supposed to be May 2016. So everything was supposed to be May, and now we're on to whatever. But anywho, I want to read the official article from Variety, specifically the Lucasfilm part. It says The Mandalorian and Grogu, a cinematic spinoff of the hit Disney series The Mandalorian, will open May 22nd, 2026, while Toy Story 5 will debut June 19th, 2026. It signals that Disney is getting serious about reinvigorating its big screen Star Wars franchise after mostly focusing on streaming shows like The Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. Its last major film release was 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, which was a box office success but a critical disappointment. Since then, Lucasfilm, which runs Star Wars, has announced the development of various projects and listed the likes of Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins and Marvel head Kevin Feige. Most of these have so far failed to make it to the screen and withered in development purgatory. Mandalorian and Grogu is assuming a release date that had been previously given to an untitled Star Wars film from Thor Ragnarok director Taika Waititi. No word on when the busy Waititi will make that trip to a galaxy far, far away. So I don't know how accurate what they just said is that this movie in May of 2026 was actually supposed to be going to Taika's Star Wars film. Maybe that's just them going off of assumptions. Maybe that's an inside scoop.
I mean, I think we all kind of came to the conclusion with this when this was announced that this was a very, very sudden change in the whole slate. Like it came out of nowhere. I'm not saying we've never said that they never wanted or planned to do a Mando movie, but
the timing
it was
of it
going to be
was
made,
very-
I still
nowhere.
I still insist that was because Charmaine about Shinoy.
I think it was a perfect storm. I think you had a lot of not so positive situations going on behind the scenes. That's just speculation, especially with like Taika, Patty Jenkins. I mean, clearly things were getting messy behind the scenes, and this was like a screw it, Favreau. Okay, you're doing your movie. We need more time to get everything laid out.
Well, and I think that Lucasfilms and what baffles me is that after The Rise of Skywalker came off, we knew we were going to get a break from the films. And then almost immediately they're like, "Oh, we're doing a Taika film. Patty Jenkins is getting
Patty
a film."
Jenkins was the first,
and,
yeah,
and that was supposed to come out in like last year, 2023. So it seemed like at the time I was giving Lucasfilm the benefit of the doubt of, they have a plan, or they're going to make a plan at bare minimum and plan out the next future of the movies and the shows, and just try to have a plan for the next 10 years of Star Wars. It's been 5 years. I still see no signs of a plan, honest to God. I really feel like they're just throwing stuff at the wall and praying something sticks. And sometimes
that's
it
how
does,
it feels
sometimes
with
it
even things with Disney Plus with like the Acolyte and all that. We even admitted earlier when we're talking about like, they're going to see how the Acolyte's receptive, right? See how the responses of the Acolyte. Then, they might do a Tales of the Sith, like Plagueis, Tenebrous and stuff like that. I don't like that. Have a plan, have a gut, have a backbone, stick with that plan. Sure, things will change.
Yeah, no,
and things
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Usually I say I understand if they want to, test this out, test it out. But you've had Star Wars for how long now, Disney? The testing shit is over. Now is literally you're still trigger shy because of what happened after the sequels. Okay, but it's shit or get off the pot at this point. It's like
no, this is their do or die time.
Well, that's where I
for
say
better or
really
for better or for worse, at least just make your plan, execute the plan. Plan goes off the rails.
Yeah, we've said this a lot down this show.
That's just put it out there, okay? If it's received bad, you fucked up again, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you're that worried about it, that's where I say the confidence becomes an issue. Because if you're that worried about it, it's telling me you're still not sure you have your finger on the pulse. It's like it's not that hard.
It literally comes down to if whoever's leading, whoever's mainly in charge here, which we can predict too, then someone else needs to take the reins, right? Someone else needs to take this and take it to where it needs to be. Because, let's just say Kathleen Kennedy. Let's just say Kathleen Kennedy and her sort of administration, if they are scared, if they are fearful, which would be very reasonable considering, how things have played out over the decade. But if they're not able to overcome that fear, then I'm sorry, someone else needs to come on board to fix things. It's simple as that. I agree with Lunga. It's like, I understand being scared. I understand, okay, things might change throughout here and there. But this whole reactionary sort of way of storytelling, that it's not just Lucasfilm, it's many movie studios. It's just wrong. I mean, I'm sure we all figured that Reva was going to have a side story planned after Kenobi. It was very clear they're setting something up. Reva was hated by most people. Now they throw it away. They're not going to touch it ever again. They even came out and made like posts about Moses Ingram and stuff and how they stand by her, they support her and stuff.
Well, again, but that's their fault. You created a character.
I agree.
And it has absolutely nothing with what's between her legs or the color of her skin. Nothing to do with that. It's you put a character in, sorry, just like people say about Rey, that you didn't develop. You did shit with. You made her a pointless character. And that's why people didn't respond well. If it was a guy character, they still wouldn't have responded well. It'd be like, this character is pointless.
Well, clearly, we didn't respond well in that same series with the guy, the Marvel actor who was the fake Jedi. Like, that was beyond corny and cringy. But anywho, before we delve into everything that's wrong with Lucasfilm, again, Mandalorian and Grogu, are you guys okay with a May 2026 release date, or do you think it would have been better to do this in December of 2026?
I don't care. I think there's way too much, and there's been people in Hollywood that have talked about this. They're like, like I get the, the tentpole stuff, right? As far as a business sense, fuck Star Wars, fuck all this. Just studios, right? You have your summer blockbusters. And then you have so you have those two slates, which are the biggest tentpole times, right? Summer blockbusters and your Christmas time movies. Where you put one, either or the other, doesn't matter to me. Is it gonna become like a Die Hard thing? Star Wars is a Christmas movie. That's what it is. It's like, I don't care. I really don't care. Just don't put it out in February where nobody's going to movie theaters. That's don't put it in the dead zone. That's the only thing I care about.
Especially for something like the Mandalorian and Grogu. The way I think of the Mandalorian series and everything, it seems like it would be a summer blockbuster and not something I would go to Christmas for. But I'm also fine with the Christmas. I mean, everything was great with the recent movies when they were coming out in December. It was fun. My only concern is, of course, time frame. Hold
on. I need to dig into this. I have never, in the history of fuckdom, look at a calendar and said, yeah, I don't like these months for movies. It's just not a time I want to. It's just not a time I think I want to see. This movie feels like a Christmas plaid and paisley color. This is not. You don't wear white in winter. You wear it in the spring. What are we talking about right now? Does it matter?
It's like those dumb questions where people are like, "Is a hot dog a sandwich?" Like, no, they're like, well, it's got two buns, doesn't it? It covers around the meat or something. Or
are we that desperate for topics only?
Are we
that's how some people answer. What? Oh yeah, if you want it in May.
The question. We always do this, and then I have to come back, and then everyone's long and gone.
Sorry.
I don't.
Good.
Yeah. I agree with Lunga. Yeah. Inherently, monthly dates, whatever, don't inherently matter. My only concern, and this could change down the line, they could reschedule. It would be its competition. We know how expensive movie theaters are, and we know competition is very much a big deal when it comes to different movies and all that. I wouldn't be too worried about Toy Story because it's a very, very different sort of genre. But it going up against an Avengers movie, it does have potential to cause issue with the Mandalorian's box office performance. Another thing is like two movies in 1 year. That's something new. We'll see how that goes. But I guess we're all assuming the Rey movies in December 2026. It's pretty clear that that's what that's going to be. One thing though I will say is they're, according to our boy Brendan, they're shooting this Mando movie within the next couple months, and so that's going to give them quite a long time to complete the movie, post production and all that. So that gives me a little bit more hope. Okay. Take your time. Don't rush the production, don't rush the VFX and all that. Maybe some reshoots are needed here and there, but those won't be rushed. You can flesh the story out. So there's pros and cons to it. I guess the biggest con would be it going up against the Avengers movie, which I agree. Marvel is in a stupid, silly state. And the hype is nowhere near the hype of what it was. What was it? Infinity War. Not even remotely close. But I've also said that's the same situation with Star Wars. The hype is not at the same level as it was back in 2019 and stuff. So both are kind of on a downtrend. So there is a comparison there.
I honestly think, though, Disney is smart enough to know how to release these movies properly, honestly. Like, the Solo thing was, I think, a different situation because they knew for a while that movie was not going to make a lot of money. So I don't think delaying it or moving anything around would have helped that one. But I think with this, skeptical if that Marvel movie even comes out in that same month of Star Wars. Truly, I am. But I also think that with this being the return to Star Wars and everything, it being in May, and like you just said, Palp Memes, they start shooting in June. That's a long time from May 2026. So with the right marketing and everything, I really think this could be a big hit if marketed properly. Because one thing is getting people ass in the seats. Like,
the one thing we talked about Mandalorian,
you got to market it.
The one thing we talked about Mandalorian was marketing, right? And that's a lot of time to build up hype. Now, if they do this shit where they're filming and we go a year and we know they're doing all this shit and they don't say nothing, you're missing opportunities. Right,
well,
you're missing opportunities.
They missed the opportunity from the start.
You need to keep it in people's. You need to keep it in the forefront of their consciousness.
It's got to be on the radar.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't even need to be forefront for a very long time because this sounds kind of a side tangent, but I've been in the boxing and MMA for a long time. When you announce a fight and it's like next year, the steam blows off completely. That's one reason Mayweather was such a popular fighter. He would be like, "Oh, I'm fighting."
Yeah, but hold on.
Marcos Maidana. But that's like 2 to 3 months from now.
Hold on. Only there's nothing about the fight. What are you gonna do? Keep watching training montages of them? The fight is the fight. You don't care until the fight happens. The movie, there's vignettes, there's little backstage photos from behind the scenes.
Fights, though. That's for the fights.
There's all these little tidbits that you could sprinkle.
But I'm talking about
that's not the same thing. It's not
exactly the same, but they do build up hype throughout the months for a fight.
But it's still the same two people. It's still the same two people. They're not changing. There's not sets. There's not other actors. There's not other characters. There's not
that you know of.
It's not like, hey, we're gonna take these two guys. They're both really strong. Something's gonna happen next year. And now, is it going to be a fight? Is it going to be a dance-off? What's it going to be? We don't know. It's not that. We know it's a fucking fight.
But one of my points would be, like, recently, Conor McGregor's been supposed to fight this guy named Michael Chandler. It's been going on for like a year at this point, and the fight still hasn't happened. All right? So the steam for that fight is completely worn off because even when they do fight, it's like, bro, this should have happened a whole fucking year ago.
But that's a will. That's a will he, won't he situation. But fighters
he
do that shit a lot
every fucking time. But anywho, my point with the whole Mandalorian and Grogu thing is that yes, you have to market this properly, but you can't let people get worn out thinking about it of being like, God, is this film ever going to release? Like, come on, just get it out there, But I do think with the Mandalorian being as popular as it has been, marketing for it has been very, very powerful and very, very good. It's probably the highest marketable Star Wars project they've ever had since they were going to do The Force Awakens, because that was the return to Star Wars. This is something they've built that people actually really enjoy and really like. So I hope they think ahead and do the marketing for this. But honestly, from the announcement, it doesn't seem like they are. It seems like they're already screwing the pooch with the marketing, because how did they announce this? Some random day in January, they just went on the website and were like, "Oh, hey guys, by the way, there's a Mandalorian and Grogu film, and it's going to be the first one to release by." It's like, what the fuck?
Star Wars only. I understand why you say that, but I also think it is really, really early on, right? Am I going to actually have to defend this freaking movie? Because it's very early on. Now, do I expect Lucasfilm to have just suddenly great marketing? No.
Okay,
but also, I also
would
say,
riddle me this.
Oh, go ahead.
What do you think people know more in the casual world right now? That there's a Mandalorian and Grogu film that was announced on like Twitter and a website, or that there's an upcoming Rey Star Wars movie that was announced at Celebration?
Oh
Daisy
gosh,
Ridley
well,
came out on stage
clearly
and everything.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. They had a big to do with these
point.
3 movies
Well,
that's marketing
that's the
right there.
consequence of this lack of plan, right? They could have brought Din Djarin out in the full costume on Celebration. You know, while everyone's screaming.
That's what I'm saying.
All the
If we
girls
talk
are
about
freaking out.
marketing for this movie,
I
they
agree
started
with
off with
that.
bad marketing.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. Fair. Their foundation is kind of crippled right now.
All right. I'm glad we could have come to an agreement on that. But let's move on to the other Star Wars movie that we're all actually, the three of us, I think we've all said this is our most anticipated Star Wars movie that they've announced out of like the 5 that we got going on. What's this guy's name? Lunga Willimon?
Willimon?
Say it?
Bo
Willimon?
Willimon?
Bo Willimon. All right, whatever. Oh my god, I didn't know this. He wrote House of Cards. I love that series until they took out until season 5. They went a little too far in a few places. But anyways, they go on to say that Willimon, the playwright and screenwriter, has been tapped to work for the script for the Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi Lucasfilm feature that is to be directed by James Mangold. Willimon is joining Mangold to write the script for the project that will trace the origins of the Force and be set 25,000 years before any of the timelines and stories told by the movies and shows so far. Dawn of the Jedi, which is a working title, I did not know that, was first unveiled almost exactly 1 year ago at Star Wars Celebration, held in London in April 2023. And this actually comes from, I think, is this Mongold or Mongold?
Well, we know what the
says-
extra title is going to be, right? It's going to be Star Wars: The Jedi in Me. That's what it's going to be called.
Oh, I just thought it was going to be called The Beginning. Kind of a not. You remember the Phantom Menace working title?
Yeah,
because I remember.
I remember that.
Yeah. But so Mongold goes on to say, when I first started talking to Kathleen Kennedy about doing one of these pictures, what occurred to me was thinking about what kind of genre movie within Star Wars I wanted to do, and I thought about a biblical epic, like a 10 Commandments about the dawning of the Force. Where did the Force come from? When did we discover it? And when did we learn how to use it? The project, like most Star Wars initiatives, has been under a Sith shroud of secrecy ever since. The feature has no release date, but Mongold is expected to turn his attention to the Dawn of the Jedi after he wraps The Complete Unknown, his Bob Dylan biopic that stars Timothée Chalamet. I actually was going to go see that, and then I found out Timothée Chalamet was in it just now, and I will not. The next Star Wars movie is slated to be The Mandalorian and Grogu, which on Friday received a May 22nd, 2026 release.
Your hate of Timothée Chalamet is unhinged.
I just don't think he's a good actor.
He's had like the 3. First of all, he's a very good actor. He's had like the 3 top grossing movies in the last year. It's
I know.
Who's in Interstellar? Star Wars only. Come on, don't you remember?
Oh yeah, he was in there for like 2 seconds in the background before he became what's that guy?
Go watch Dune.
Affleck?
Yeah, pleb.
I'm sure he's a fine actor. Okay, I'm really confused because this is where I feel like an old man. Where did he come from? Like what did like?
He's a kid. He's young.
Oh, I feel like one day everybody was talking about Timothée Chalamet, and I was like, is this a rapper? Is this a TikTok star? Did he come from?
Because he started getting us some really big movies. We're going on a tangent again.
Where did Tom Holland come from? I mean,
that tsunami movie.
He just became Spider-Man, and that's how it became a thing.
Spider-Man. All right.
Timothy Chalamet just slowly
on topic. On topic.
Yes, back to the Dawn of the Jedi. What do you guys think about this writer? Because my first reaction, like I kind of said at the beginning, is that this is really good. This guy wrote House of Cards, which is a very good show. Kind of lost its way a little bit, but I need to know more about his role in that. But he also wrote Andor. He wrote the famous scene where what's that guy's name?
One Way
That
Out.
speech. Well, yeah, that one, and then the guy who hires Cassian. You know what I'm talking about? He's like,
Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan did his speech. I can't remember the character's name for the life of me. But anyways, he wrote that speech, which was great. He wrote the One Way Out episode, that entire prison arc, and I really think that
2 best episodes of the series, really, debatably.
The fact that when I look at a story like that and the episodes that he wrote, it's very focused. The plot is very clear. Almost every scene has some meaning to developing the plot, but yet also the story. He's a professional. And after watching House of Cards, I'm a big fan of House of Cards. My roommate would make fun of me. He'd be like, "You've seen the show so many times, you could probably direct a fucking episode." And it's a really great show. The writing is very good. The plot, the pacing, and the story of these characters and Frank Underwood and everything. So I think this is a very good choice on Lucasfilm to bring a guy like on this kind of project. But then to also have James Mangold be a director, like I said earlier, it's like having the two professionals work on this. You know, you got people like Dave Filoni over there writing and directing his movie. It's like, all right, Dave, you know, you go play around, do your little thing, see how it goes and everything. I know the Star Wars fans love it. But this feels like something that is going to be the best made Star Wars movie out of the upcoming 3 or 4 that we have. How are
Well,
you guys
when
feeling
you
about
when
this
you
concept?
name something that's we've only seen perhaps in EU novelizations here and there or whatever, and but it's still a very vague era. But it's literally anytime you name anything, dawn of, okay, in an IP as big as Star Wars, it is the beginning of everything, right?
Yeah, it's a
If you
big deal.
fuck that up, you just fuck up everything that comes after it. Okay, so yeah, it's a big deal. So I could see why I'm happy they're going this route. I hope they continue to make these kind of decisions for everything. It's like why I don't think you should oh, okay, this one's not that as important. Let's just put this guy here. He made a good indie film. Let's throw him on there.
Yeah, see, I like when they bring in professionals. Like whenever the writers for A Quiet Place, they were brought into Lucasfilm to do a Star Wars movie or series, and they declined because they wanted to do something in their own realm. But guys like that who have been in the industry for a little bit, I feel like those are good choices for Lucasfilm, as opposed to what they have done with the new Star Wars stuff. Is who's hot right now? Who just made a good movie? Who made a good? You make a good movie?
You mean Charmine, hasn't made a blockbuster live action?
Made a documentary. She made a documentary.
She did Miss
Made a
Marvel.
documentary,
You did Miss
guys.
Marvel.
We
need a female director. You
apologies.
directed Miss Marvel. Hop on the set, sweetheart.
Well, this is what pisses me the hell off is because we literally had Patty Jenkins, who's made some pretty damn good movies. Yeah, she had Wonder Woman 84, The Quest for Suck, and from there they just decided, you know what?
Okay, but look
gonna
what
go.
happened. It's the same concept of who is making a good movie. You just made Wonder Woman. All right, come
I
on in,
agree,
sweetheart.
but at
Now
least
you fucking
Patty
suck.
Jenkins
Yeah.
had some more under her belt. Right, I was pretty excited for her movie. They brought her
We were
out
not excited
with
for
an
her movie. Don't lie.
X-wing where she talked about her deceased father
And roller
how
skates.
he
Don't
was
forget
a
roller
pilot
skates.
and how that's inspiring her
Roller
to make
skates.
her movie. And then out of nowhere, they decide, you know what? Never mind. And now, due to contractual reasons, they're still forcing her to finish the damn script.
Look, all right, pal memes, we're not going to do this. We're not going to pretend. I know a lot of the shills like to pretend like they were excited for something called
Meltdown.
Rogue Squadron. No one gave a fuck about Rogue Squadron in 2020. If you did, yeah, the fact that you're excited for that, but are
I
like,
was a
man,
shill.
with the Mandalorian.
Well,
and
hold
Grogu."
on, hold
was
on,
a show
hold on.
back then,
Let's
all right?
let's put it in perspective. Okay, there was a lot of announcements coming out, right? When Rogue Squadron was one of, oh, listen, Star Wars, we're gonna start ramping up. We're gonna start getting all these movies, and we thought we're getting back into movies again, right? And when it was one of a slate, I was excited. When it started looking like this is the only thing that's on a slate because everything's falling off, I wasn't so excited. When it started sounding like this is what they're going to start out with, I'm like, hold on,
Yeah,
why are we
that's-
starting out with
that's what
this?
Killed me. I was like, what the fuck? are you doing?
Right. So the movie in of itself isn't something to not be excited about. It's when, if it's a part of something, it's exciting. But if it's like, oh, everything else kind of fell off, this is what we're starting with, this is what we're opening up with, here's your new era of Star Wars, Rogue Squadron. It's like, what?
That's fair.
That's
That's fair. The return to Star Wars in the theaters,
Right.
X-wing.
Yeah,
and guess what?
that was my big turn off from it.
Yeah.
And thank God it did not go through because I don't think that movie would have all done all that well. But we've, especially you, Pop Names, you've been reluctant to get excited for this Dawn of the Jedi movie because you do feel like it is the most likely to get canceled. You still feel that way with this writer being attached and everything? I feel like the confidence in this has gone up, right?
No doubt. I mean, we've had writers for plenty of movies that got canceled, let alone one that has a lot of weight on it. Like, there's a lot of weight on the shoulders of this movie. Lunga said it. If this could very easily fuck them up. And if you fuck up the start of it's not even, here's the interesting thing. What was it? The Variety article you were talking, was it Variety?
Yes, sir. Variety.
Yeah. So with that, like, they
Oh, my
said
bad. Hollywood Reporter.
okay,
Hollywood
so
Reporter.
even better. They said the sort of dawn or upbringing of the Force, right? Not necessarily the Jedi. I could have just been the journalism, could have just been the way they wrote it, but that kind of everything goes through Lucasfilm. All these articles go directly through Lucasfilm.
Well, and that quote you're talking about is directly from James Mangold. It says, "And I thought about a biblical epic like a Ten Commandments about the dawning of the Force Where did the Force come from? When did we discover
Okay,
it? When
yeah.
did we learn how to use it?
So I mean, I'd be okay with some backstory that's also loose. So like some flashbacks that are kind of up for interpretation. It's what they believe to be true. Doesn't mean it's inherently objectively
Flashbacks. The
true.
whole movie is going to be a flashback.
Well, I'm talking. They talk about the upbringing of the Force, right? The Force's life. It's always been there, essentially. Like God, if God is everything, He's always been here, kind of thing. Which is clearly being inspired by biblical writings. So it'd be interesting as if these Jedi kind of presume what happened in the stories doesn't make it necessarily the 100% truth. I think that could be done interestingly.
Well, the way I think I would hope they go about it is kind of like A New Hope, where the plot is really more about this individual character going on this like adventure, and the story is like all the stuff he kind of finds out. So maybe in this movie, it's really just about like I don't know, pair of siblings or something like that, and they go on this grand adventure to discover the Force or their destiny, and then along the way they find out stuff about the Force and they become Jedi and everything. But it's not like in the prequels, where the prequels it's not so much about the characters and their journey; it's more about the grand scheme of things of Palpatine rising up to power and the political stuff. There's a difference, I feel like, and I think you can see that in Andor, where Andor is not more about the grand scheme of things in the Empire, but because of the story and the plot and the way Andor is, positioned in his story, you see that being explored. So I'm kind of hoping with a writer and a director who I feel like are very professional, that's the direction they're going to go, where they're going to be vague enough to make it interesting and mysterious.
And it makes sense to talk about where the Force come from, because it's a chicken or the egg, right? You can't have the Jedi until people figure out the Force and figure out how to use it and how it, the first. Because you don't want to say, since, again, we don't know how the galaxy set up, right? We know Earth, right? We started out as cavemen, we were Neanderthals or whatever. You go back Cro-Magnons, and then we evolved. Then we found fire, right? Fire, and then we became, modern humans eventually after, we found fire. So the Force has always been there, right? I think it's safe to assume, because it's the Force and it's the energy of the universe and the galaxy. It's always been there, but not everyone's been able to always tap into it, or they had, stories, of this of tapping, feeling things, spirit walks or whatever, this and that. But this is going to be the first time people kind of utilize it, right? They start to figure out how to use it and how to make it a part of their lives, and a part of the galaxy. So it makes sense that that's something they need to focus on, and that eventually leads to what becomes the Jedi, right? The Jedi Order, the Jedi. Are we going to go with the Jedi at the beginning? The same word, just with an apostrophe, 2 eyes, an apostrophe, and say it a little different. Instead of Jedi, is the Jedi. Put a little different accent in there.
I think there's going to be like hints of anti-Semitism, where they're going to be like, I hate those Jedis. And like you just see a guy in the Jedi robe, like, oh, what is he? Is he talking about me? What the heck? What did I do? Final question on this Dawn of the Jedi situation and the writer. Will they or will they not say the words midichlorians in this movie? Yes or no?
They've already saying it in Bad Batch, so why not?
No, this is made by professionals though, not diehard Star Wars fans.
Again, you can't. You say, okay, they said it in the prequels, and then there's this whole thing. It's like, never say it again, right? Until recently, they started saying it again. It's not gone. It's not going to disappear. You can't pretend it didn't happen in the prequels. You can't.
It works so well. I do.
No, you can't.
What's the problem with midichlorians? Genuinely, I would love to have a discussion about this.
I will break it down quickly for you.
Go ahead.
From the original trilogy, it seems like the Force is something that's in everybody and everything and all that crazy shit. The way they did it in the prequels is it makes it seem like, oh, you're not a Jedi because you don't have X amount of midichlorians in you. You're only
well. That's not okay. No, so, but that's such a a diluted sense of what it means. It's not. It's your potential, right? It doesn't mean you can't.
No, I get that.
Star Wars only.
Still, at the time, I mean, come on. Like it turns
technically,
this religious.
Everyone has midichlorians, right? But
Right.
Yes,
because the
but
force is in
but
all of us. It moves.
But it
it
takes away from like what
binds us.
Yoda says of being like, yes, where he's like the force surrounds us, it binds us, it is everything. And then Qui-Gon's like,
how
well, the
does
force is
midichlorians-
midichlorians.
Okay. How does that negate what Yoda said, though?
It
Very
doesn't.
confused. Aren't the
It does,
midichlorians?
absolutely.
They are the building blocks of life. They are the physical form,
Right.
Right.
They're in everything.
There's multiple realms, and
They
they're in
are a
everything.
microscopic
Now,
organism. And
there are
everything.
a specific number of people who have such a high count of these midichlorians that they are able to tap into where these midichlorians are stemmed from.
or tap in easier, or have a greater control over it.
So you have to have a high count to tap in. It sounds like you just
No,
need a certain amount of
no,
midichlorians
no, you
That's
don't. But the
exactly
more you
what he just
have,
said. That is exactly what he just
that's
said.
not exactly what he just said. You slut.
No,
That's
go
not
ahead
what he
and say
said.
it. Call
He
me a dirty
said,
whore.
like I said, yeah, I was thinking Saturday Night Live. Shane, you dirty slut, a dirty whore, whatever he said in Saturday Night Live. But yeah, it's not that you can't. It's not this switch. If you have them, you can. If you don't, you can. First of all, everyone, they're in everything. That's the whole point. It literally expands on what Yoda said. They're everywhere. So they're in all of us, all of the people in the galaxy. Some have more than others. The ones that have more are the ones that can potentially have an easier time of tapping into it, potentially do more with it than other people can. Like you can have someone that has a very low M count, but they're the people who have good gut feelings, right? Right? Like when they're with their families and it's like, I don't feel good about this guy, you know? And that is a very, very low basic level of what the force does, right? But they don't realize they're using the force and not really tapping into it. It's just a kind of an innate thing. It's just kind of hanging there. But
it's not really the force though. It's a microscopic.
But to be these
organism.
superhuman Jedi, these superhuman force users that we see doing these amazing things, those are people typically with higher M counts. So it doesn't mean.
Oh, okay.
It just-
so like I said, you need to have higher midichlorians to be able to be one of these. It takes
Jesus,
away
potential.
A lot of
Do you understand what the word potential means?
No. Okay. So Star Wars only.
No,
Star Wars
there's
only.
not-
Star
there's
Wars
not
only. I'm gonna
potential
break
there, it's
that.
only a guarantee.
Star Wars only. I'm gonna make this very simple for you.
You're not going
Can-
to make this simple because you didn't even know this was
No,
a
I'm
thing.
going to. Anyone, for the most part, but unless you're like disabled, can potentially be an NBA superstar, right? However,
You're saying disabled people can't be NBA superstars?
I'm saying that, yeah, correct. However,
Okay.
there are people with more better genetics that are more refined, right, for the physical attributes that are needed to be an NBA player. Take, for instance, LeBron James' son. He's no ordinary person. He comes from LeBron James, who's what I'm sure we can all agree is genetically very up there in the rankings.
I know
And so
where you're
because
going
of
with
that-
this, but NBA ain't the force, all right? It's not some, you have to train hard. Imagine if to be good in the NBA, they were like, oh, yeah, you specifically have to be born on March 10th every year. March 10th. If you're not born on March 10th, you're not. Gonna
Where
become
are
an
they
NBA
saying?
superstar.
Okay, what's the M count then? Name it. What's the M count amount to use the force?
Whatever. The fuck if I know. You guys.
Yeah,
are the ones
fuck if I know
are
exactly because
advocating
it's not a thing.
the
It's not a
midichlorians.
thing.
What do you mean it's not a thing? He said it in the fucking
but
movie.
Here. Let's clarify it. Qui-Gon wanted to test him because he had this feeling, the whole prophecy thing. He had a feeling that he was the one. He had this whole. So the MCOT was more not to. It was more of just for him. And
It's like a
if you look at it from
verification
the
of his, like-
perspective,
Yeah.
right, of his beliefs, that's what it
you guys
was,
are getting
man.
So tied up in like who can't. The
No,
whole
so it
thing
sounds
with
like
the
you're getting
midichlorians
tied
and
up
the
in it,
Force-
not us.
No, I'm getting tied up with
we're
how
just
stupid
we're
the
just
sci-fi
okay
shit
with it
is.
that it goes like here and goes here and it doesn't.
Yeah,
the one that's
'cause
tied up
the
in it, the
problem
one
with
that's
Star Wars
in
fans. You
the
guys are just
trenches
pieces of
going,
shit.
fuck these midichlorians.
You guys are just used to
That's-
shit at this point. Ever since 1997 happened, you guys are just, it gets worse every year, but I'll still be
Yeah.
there. No, it takes
Yeah,
the
back
mythicism
when you were
away.
when you were one.
No,
So are you saying
in
are you saying Star Wars
1925.
only that having a sort of more physical explanation of the Force is just not a good way to go?
It's not even physical.
Right.
can't
I
even,
agree with that.
quantify
We
the
didn't need
midichlorians
it.
because they can't
And
see-
that's fine, but
yes,
that's all
the thing is we
subjective.
don't.
That's
It takes
subjective.
the mythicism. Okay, it's all fucking subjective. Of course.
No, it's not. No,
Star
it
Wars.
absolutely is not. That is not
see,
true.
Yeah, no, it's all subjective. Everything.
No,
about
it's
this
not.
whole goddamn
Art is not all
franchise
subjective. Movies are. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's
Movies are not all
subjective.
subjective. They're not.
Okay, you're right. The only one that's not subjective is that The Sopranos is the second greatest show of all time. That's an objective fact. And then Breaking Bad's number one. You're right. That's objective.
Well, there you go.
So
Thank
Star
you.
Wars Outlaws.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. Instead of remembering, I forgot.
I had to teach this kid what 1999 was like, even though I wasn't there.
I know. I've watched the Plinkett reviews, and you belong on them.
Yeah, well, and you know what? Plinkett was right as well. So fuck everybody.
No, he's not. His reviews are pretty horribly critiqued,
No,
but they're
you're
funny.
all
They're very
wrong.
entertaining.
You're all wrong. But Star Wars Outlaws, speaking of things that are wrong in the world, and you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna have a Plinkett debate one day because I feel like I'm gonna be the only one on his side. But Star Wars Outlaws, the story trailer dropped. Lungo watched it like at the beginning of the show, and I watched it yesterday.
Oh, I have so much to say.
I don't got a lot to say. I'll give my quick little. I just don't care. You know, I was excited about this game being an open world Star Wars game from the start. It sounded like a great idea. And then they got the gameplay trailer developer thing, looked bland to look basic. Got the story trailer, and oh my God, it's like the most boring story trailer of all. It's like a typical action movie trailer where like Ryan Reynolds is in it, you know, but maybe he's playing a girl this time.
We got one more job, then we're free.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what the fuck?
We're the most. I gathered you all here today because we're the most powerful crime families in the galaxy.
We
The
got-
Hutts.
Well, we-
remember them.
I said this before we went live, right? It's the beginning scene is basically what we saw in Book of Boba Fett, right? And where they had the meeting with the 5 families or whatever. And the movie itself, or the game itself, when you look at the character that they're showing, who's like the main-ish character, it literally just looks like, hey, remember Solo Star Wars movie? Let's turn it into a game and change some things. But it's pretty much Solo Star Wars story.
And that movie
in
was
game
mediocre
form.
as is, but holy cow, this game
Yeah, I
just,
know. I'm
wow.
turning it into a game. It is very uninspiring. There was nothing about the trailer that made me go, I can't wait to play this
Aren't
game.
you excited to go to Canto Bight though, Mr. Star Wars Only? Don't you
Oh, is
love
that-
Canto
is that
Bight?
in the game?
The
I
planet
remember
that
Canto
ruined
Bight.
Finn's character? Aren't you
I didn't know
excited to
that
go
was-
Is that
there?
where they get you? Is that where they get you with the transactions? You can gamble
It's
and they
possible,
hit
it's
you with the
possible.
microtransactions.
That'd be
Microtransaction in
that'd
this
be
game
epic.
is the fact that you buy the game in the first fucking place. No, I'll be honest. I probably will buy this game. I need to see a little bit more to really be sold on it. I mean, I haven't even played Jedi Survivor yet, so how am I out going buying games anyways? But still, it doesn't seem like a very exciting game. Like and it's hard to compare. But like, what's crazy is Star Wars Eclipse had almost no dialogue at all, and just scenes and cuts and everything, and apparently wasn't even an actual trailer for the game, but was so fucking cool and epic. Everybody was like, I can't. I mean, we all did a reaction immediately on the Chatooine show of like, oh my God, this is like the coolest
This
thing
is
ever.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going nowhere, of course. But sometimes I look at that and I go, like, how can I go from so excited, I still want this game to happen, I don't care who made it, to this game where it's like, man, I wanted an open world Star Wars game, and now I'm looking at yours and I'm going, I don't want it actually. Like, what the?
I want dirty and gritty. I don't want listen, everyone loves Han Solo, right? I get it. Okay. But this whole thing where the entire underworld of Star Wars are all lovable nerf herders or heart, the thief with the heart of gold kind of shit. It's like, come on, they're supposed to be the minority, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be more like that feel that we had that never happened, right? Because Lucas had that show that he was developing, right? That was supposed to be that Star Wars underworld
Yeah,
Star
thing,
Wars Underworld. Yeah.
Underworld.
which had a little more gritty kind of feel to it, right? I'd want something more like that, right? Rather than this. If I'm gonna play that kind of game, this
It's what
again
we
just
wanted
feels
from
like
Boba.
this. But it just feels again. It's like, well, people like Han Solo, so let's just make him a woman, and give you the Thief with a Heart of Gold again storyline, and let's have fun with it. And that's what we're doing. It's like, but this is an Outlaws game. If you want us to enjoy some kind of underworld game, make it a fucking underworld game. You know what I mean?
And, I really lost my mind. Like I could not stop laughing because of how brilliant of dialogue it was when she sat in the chair and had to lower it or raise it a little bit. I was like,
because you were short.
yeah. I was like that. Oh wow. I was like, so we're going with the like when people talk about Marvel humor, and there's always like the people who are Marvel stands, like, you can't even tell me what Marvel humor is, can you? That's Marvel humor. Her raising the chair and like it bringing the trailer to like a 2-second halt to be like, hey, it's funny, right? You like this? Funny, buy game. No, it's not funny at all. Actually, it's just
Again, that thing in of itself, if it's part of something greater, it'd be a great addition. It'd be funny, but it's not. That's the problem. The rest,
if
everything
it
else
was like,
around it isn't.
Jedi Fallen Order, where the alien
Yeah.
guy on Cal's ship kept putting salt on his thing and it just wouldn't stop, you know, like that would be, or his whole character is just based off of kind of being the comic relief of everything, you know. Fine, so be it, you know, that works. But this game, she's like the main and only character, and then the other one is like some cute sidekick creature thing. And you know what? I'm gonna throw another.
You
thing
know,
at
again, it's Solo.
Everybody
I just
doesn't
want
need a
I just
sidekick
want to
like
live free. Isn't that what Solo wanted?
Yeah,
That's what
we
Solo, he
gotta
wanted to
do
get
a
away from
mission.
Corellia. I just want to live free.
And same with Jyn Erso. She just wanted to be free. And she had to do that one more mission to be free. Like it's so but I'm so annoyed with all these games or like new Star Wars tropes of like everybody wants another R2D2. We all gotta have a new R, and the only new R2D2, I guess, was technically BB-8. He kind of, especially when the Force Awakens came out, he was a big deal. And now he's not. Now it's just like, oh yeah, whatever, BB-8. But Grogu kind of became the next thing, this little sidekick creature. But like the little BD droid that Cal Kestis has wasn't the biggest hit in the world. It's just a cute little thing. But now they got it with freaking this chick in Outlaws, where she's got her little side pet thing. It's like not every single character needs like a little side pet or droid to be with them to make it like.
Well, but that's literally Star Wars, dude. Come on, everything in Star Wars has that. The Fallen Order, he has his little robot. I mean, it's droid.
But you don't have to do it It may sometimes it's nice to do something.
Yeah, but now if they don't, it'll literally be the first time they didn't, because everything Star Wars always has it. Everything.
Galen Merrick didn't have a little say. He killed anything and everybody by him.
Can I give my?
Are we really going with that game? Is that what we're going with?
It's not the best game.
That's your benchmark. That's your benchmark.
Don't you say that game exists like it's a bad game? All right, The Force Unleashed and The Force Unleashed.
It's a fun game. Listen, it's a fun game when you just want to blow things up. You just want to feel powerful. Sure, yes, that's the point of the game, right? But but it's presented like this is an actual story in the Star Wars universe when it's not. That's the issue with it. Okay, if you remove yourself from Star Wars, canon and knowledge, you just want to feel powerful. Yeah, of course. That's the point of the game. It's fun. You feel like a super powerful Jedi. What you did as a kid, right? When you're a kid, you think you're moving the couches and you're moving everything, and you're running around with the lightsaber. Sure, that's the point of the game. It did that. Okay, but it became such part of the they became such a part of a lore, and people were like, this can't be part of Star Wars. This guy's just way too powerful. It's way too ridiculous.
It was fucking annoying. He was pulling shit from the sky. He took on the Emperor and Vader. Like, oh my God. But no, stuff like that I find like mindless fun. But back to Outlaws. Palpatine, I know you got a lot of complaints about this game. Lay them on me, brother.
Yeah, I mean, you guys summed up a lot of the issues with it. For me, it really, just from what I can see from all the trailers, it doesn't look interesting. I think I've said this already on the show. I genuinely, and this is the first, I genuinely do not think I'll be buying this game. Doesn't excite me. And I've been saying I've been wanting an open world Star Wars game for years now. This just ain't it. I have a few things I want to talk about. I don't really have this planned out, but let's just talk about the price. Ubisoft has lost their damn minds. Okay. The standard price is $69.99, which, okay, fair. And then they have a Ultimate Edition, which is $130. That gets you a pre-order bonus, which is like some outfit cosmetic stuff, which you can get for free if you have a PC, because you can just download it. 3-day early access, which is stupid. A season pass, which worries the shit out of me. Some bundles and stuff. But the big seller point of this $130 price is a digital art book. Yeah, they're not even going to give you a physical art book. Like Fallen Order has their concept art book, The Mandalorian. I mean, all the art of Rise of Skywalker and stuff, Last Jedi, Force Awakens. We've had these for a long time. They're not even going to give you a physical one. If they were to do that, I wouldn't be complaining about this price. It's just Ubisoft losing their damn minds. Point number 2. We have now learned as of this morning that this game requires an internet connection to even play. Despite it being a single player game. Ubisoft also made another single player. It was multiplayer and single player game. One of
You
my
need that
favorite games of
connection
all time.
for the microtransactions.
Yeah,
That
there you
money
go.
and
They got to get you in. Another game that Ubisoft made, one of my favorite games of all time, definitely one of my favorite racing games of all time, The Crew. And they recently shut down the servers for The Crew, all of them. So The Crew will never, for the rest of the time men are on Earth, you will never be able to play that game again. That's going to happen with this game, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years from now, you will never be able to play Outlaws again unless they do some crazy patch where they allow somehow the game to function without being on a server, which is very unlikely. I had another point. Oh, point number 3. This game's not going to perform well. The trailers are extremely underperforming. The story trailer only has 1.2 million views, right? And the gameplay trailer, I believe, hit 5 million.
Yeah, it's kind of low.
Star Wars Eclipse did like double that 5 million in like the first day. Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order did way better. And so this game simply, I don't want to call it dead on arrival because I don't think that's a fair term, but for exaggeratory purposes, I'll say it's dead on arrival. It's not going to perform
Star Wars
well.
Eclipse has a
21 million views. That's more than Ahsoka, more than Mando. I mean, it's more than Ahsoka,
Right,
Mando,
but we know why.
and I think the Book of Bob combined.
It's,
But
it was
it's a
cinematic.
game.
The reason why we so liked it so much,
Cinematic.
it was very cinematic. It drew us in. It felt like a movie, right? Not like a game,
Mhm.
and
Right.
that's why. And it was the word we want to use is epic. It felt like it was epic, right?
was grand.
An epic story. Not these little, because Outlaws is this very little niche part. I'm not saying that's not a good thing to make a game out of, but it's not epic, right? And people, when they really want to get thrown into Star Wars, they want to feel epic or they want to feel member berries, right? And I really think, Fallen Order did so well, because of the acting. Monahan was spectacular playing Cal Kestis in that game. But so that brought you into this kind of like background of the stuff we remember. But the epicness of well, God, why is the name escaping me? Eclipse. The epicness of Eclipse and the way that it just felt like, oh, this is the whole galaxy. This thing is huge, right? That's what really drew you in, and it was without knowing what you do in the game. It was just this big cinematic. Yeah. That's all it was.
Yeah.
You also got to see like the sets, and it seemed like kind of like realistic characters and alien. It felt like Star Wars. This doesn't feel all that much.
I was going to bring that up. Outside of like seeing the droids or the stormtroopers, the vibe is just not there for me, man. Like the vibe, and I hate say I'm one to rarely use the whole term. It doesn't feel like Star Wars because I think it's very hard to quantify and sort of objectify that. But I'll say the vibe just isn't there for me. I've watched the trailer, I've watched the gameplay, I've watched the story trailer. I'm not feeling it, man. Not feeling it. I think a lot of people are feeling the same way, and that's partially a reason why these trailers are underperforming so much.
Yeah, I'm not very excited for it myself, honestly. The only good thing is that it's not being made by EA and Lucasfilm is
dude.
Giving
it's one of the same, dude. Come on, Ubisoft.
I'm sorry. It's different. It's different though because they're actually.
No,
yes,
dude.
It is because this is not an exclusive deal where we have to deal with Ubisoft for 10 years. All right, we get multiple companies trying multiple different Star Wars games. You get like 5 in the pipeline. All right,
right.
If we
Ubisoft
get one
is
dud. It's not a big fucking deal.
Okay, so I'm talking about the games individually, right? Ubisoft is really no better than EA, right? It's really not fair to say, well, at least it's not EA, because I'm like, well, what the fuck? I mean,
yeah, no, at least it's not EA. I'll say it. I'm tired of their shit. It's been 10 years. They wasted my time.
They gave us the Jedi series, which we all agree is
not
pretty good.
Worth the 10 years of waiting.
No, I understand. So your hatred comes from their entire handling of the brand. Sure,
yeah,
that's fair.
I would drop that like a bad habit. I could care less about Cal or the.
So fine, yeah. It's not EA, but now we're getting a company making this game that's basically EA. Fine.
Yeah, but it's not EA.
Fair enough.
But it's not EA.
I respect that. You admit it. It's a stupid argument.
It's open world. Ooh,
oh,
take that, EA.
Yeah.
But any final parts or final notes on Tales of the new what's it called? Outlaws Order?
Outlaws. Yeah, no. I mean, it doesn't. I mean,
different shows.
Between the three of us,
Order.
Between the three of us, I'm obviously the one that doesn't I'm not as drawn in by games as you two.
You don't care.
I don't want to say I don't care. I mean, I do care on a base level. You know, I don't mind playing a new game. I got on to Baldur's Gate 3 when Baldur's Gate 3 came out. It's me. It's more along the lines of they have to really grab me. And at the end of the day, just watching that trailer, I'm telling you, all I felt was Solo vibes. It felt like Solo, and it's like that movie underwhelmed me. How are you going to make me excited about a game when this just feels and looks like Solo?
So you're saying Solo should have been a video game?
Well, let's
I
not
think
forget
that was
heroes in this
great.
game.
Because
I
we're
think that was
seeing
a
it
great
happening in real time.
Yeah, but it's not Han. If they had the quirkiness of Han and everything, and like the true OT era feeling,
What did Cartman say?
Cartman from South Park.
Yeah,
I remember.
put a chick in it, make it gay.
I mean, they literally did that. I know I said in the Discord group too. I was surprised that one of the side characters was this lady who was she's like bald and everything. Like that's like the third bald.
Yeah,
chick
but
they've
again,
had.
even that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, I don't care about a game having a female lead, but make it interesting. Don't take a movie that was already underwhelming of a character I used to love, but now you made me not care about, and now you're going to take that thing that I really didn't care about, and you think it's going to be better because you made it a female lead? No.
Yeah, it's the same like arguments like Last Jedi. It's like Captain Holdo, where the fuck her name is. It's like, okay, that's not the inherent problem with the movie but it's all the issues surrounding it. And
right.
Then people start complaining.
You had that. It's the cherry. It's that little cherry.
Out of place. Yeah,
it's just
a low-hanging fruit, but the whole tree's on fire. All right.
It's just it seems at times Lucasfilm with some of these games and stories and comics and books and even movies and shows, they like copy and paste certain characters because they don't really know how to like delve.
Well, there's like the whole meme that was going around because of the typical Hollywood black guy haircut that's been going around.
Yes,
and this is my friend Okaro's words, not mine. So don't start calling me racist. Where it's like he literally called that guy in the Acolyte trailer. He was like, it's fucking Jedi Miles Morales. Can they do anything new? Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like that's how I felt about the bald chick in this game, where I was like, dang, bro, like. Not every woman in Star Wars needs to be like bald, you know. Like they have a lot of bald girls going.
Well, they're not. Like, I mean, the main character has a big bushy haircut. I don't know what's going on. It's like they like, how can we make Han Solo's 70s haircut on a woman? that's what they did, and it's just
what's the lady from is it Horizon Zero Dawn? No, am I thinking?
Oh, Zero Dawn, yeah.
Yeah.
Like she has a very distinct look to her that is like extremely memorable. She seems like a realistic person. This chick looks like she walked out of a 70s or 80s movie. I'm almost expecting her to say
right out of the Hollywood set.
Yeah, like
and that's another game I actually played to completion. I actually played Horizon Zero Dawn. I liked it. I actually liked it. People bitched about it because the main character was like, again, it's like, oh, she's actually LGBT, and look at the way the character design. And the game was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the game is good.
I
don't care. I remember one of my ex-girlfriends played that game a lot, and I watched her play it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is nice enough, you know.
You guys remember Jedi Academy and how at the beginning of the game you could create your own character, you can make it look like yourself, or you can make it look like an alien or something completely different.
Yeah, I remember.
Remember the other game that came out? They forced you to pick a pronoun. This is destroying my involvement in the game, my immersion. I have to pick whatever it was. That one dude.
Yeah.
Heels versus Babyface when he had his meltdown.
And you know what? How dare Skyrim? How dare Skyrim give me the option of being a cat or an elf, and then a dark elf? You think I want to be a dark elf in Skyrim?
Oh boy.
I'm Nordic.
I love gamers. The most masculine and just righteous men.
The only thing that's funnier than people in Hollywood putting all this stuff out there because they think this is what people want is the people flipping out over it. That's the only thing funnier.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's
like the whole
engagement.
South Park thing with Kathleen Kennedy and Eric Cartman,
which they don't
put a chicken
realize.
maker
People
game.
still don't realize they're picking on both sides. It wasn't just
oh
one.
my, and I was just gonna say that kills me when I see these lunatics on Twitter, and I've been staying off Twitter. I don't tweet hardly ever. I get some news from there, and I see these people who are like, you realize they're making fun of the people making fun of Kathleen Kennedy in this show, right? They're making fun of you. It's like you are like, it's one of those things where it's like, I almost like pity you because I'm like, what is your life actually like on a day-to-day basis where you don't have like the social nuance to realize, like as a white guy in South Park, when they had the one bit about the white family and he's like, oh, no one cares about the whites and everyone gets everything they want except for the whites. And he's talking about his family because their last name's the whites, but clearly it's talking about white people in America. I was like, that's fucking funny. Like I know people and I myself have probably said and done stupid stuff like that before. Like you got to be able to laugh at yourself, man, but people can't. But you can always laugh at us here on Chatooine every Wednesday nights at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time because we are nothing but a fucking joke. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah.
At least we had Brendan Wayne on the show, and it was a big hit.
That was cool.
Thank you. That was a great time. That is.
Remember when we had Brendan Wayne on the show?
Oh, I remember Brendan. I love to remember Brendan.
What I love when this Mando trailer comes out and we get back on the show, and I start critiquing every second of it.
And I just keep going. I remember Grogu. I remember Mando.
What's that one, that fake script someone made? And it was like the Avengers moment in this Mando movie where all the characters come in and at some, like they're all saying their own lines and stuff. And then Cal Kestis comes in. And he's just like, I'm Cal Kestis.
Yeah, that's exactly how it
That's
go.
fucking great. I'm so worried. I'm terrified. I think it's going to be funny.
And as George Lucas said, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
That's great. It's going to be great. That's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I can't wait.
And it was great indeed.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. We don't have next week's planned or a calendar at the moment, but I'll get that set up for you. But a lot going on. The month of May is going to be a very busy and active month here for us on Chatooine. And, we get Tales of the Empire, The Phantom Menace. Shortly after, we get the Acolyte series, Bad Batch Season 3 is wrapping up. So there's going to be a lot coming out in the next month. April might not be the most busy month, but we'll work things out. So thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. If you liked it, please leave a like on it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more shows like this in the future. And if you really want to support the show, become a channel member. Post us up on Twitter, any of the social medias of the world. Go put us out there. Tell your friends about us, all right? We're going to be coming everywhere near you soon because we're growing. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over. But thanks for tuning in, guys. See y'all next week, and may the force be with you always.
What?